The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
You're listening to the Sports Scramble Podcast, where four friends serve up a weekly plate of sports with a side of SEC bias. Now, here are your hosts, Chet, Jacob, Wade, and Tyler.
Let's go!
What is going on, party people? Hello, world. All the sayings that I've been saying the past couple of weeks. I forget which one I started with. Welcome to the Sports Scramble Podcast, presented by Belly Up Sports. I'm your host, Chet. We got Tyler and Wade with us tonight. How y'all doing?
Doing pretty good. Ready to talk some sports, and we're getting closer to the football season, so can't complain with that.
It's a couple weeks away. I mean, we had preseason start today or last week. College football's in 2 weeks, or we got week 0 this weekend?
I think we're down to a week.
Yeah.
Not this weekend, but next weekend.
Yeah.
Who do we got week 0? Isn't there like Notre Dame?
USC
Notre Dame and Navy.
As a state.
Let's see. I'll pull it up here real quick. The all-important week 0, where last year we had Florida State play.
It is important to get the jitters
they
out.
play,
Duquesne.
There you
Did
go.
I say it right? Did I say it right? All
Yeah,
right.
you
Yeah,
did.
you know French after being at LSU for 4 years.
We've got Navy versus Notre Dame in Dublin.
That'll be good.
Hawaii at Vanderbilt.
Vandy's
Ohio
always
State.
playing in week 0. That's like the Detroit
San
Lions
Jose
always
State.
playing at home on Thanksgiving.
Saturday, August 26th. So in 2 weeks. So all you crazy sports fans, you don't have to wait that much longer. But of course, we're bringing you everything we got. But I want to hear about y'all's weekends. Everybody had a good weekend. Get out and play some golf maybe when it's 115 degrees.
I did go hit golf balls.
Did.
Oh, lucky you, because your boy did not. It was too hot.
I'm sticking to the turf golf for the summer and having a drink in the fan. But then in the fall, I'll go back to the real course and start playing real golf. But I feel like I hit the ball a lot better off the turf, so it's addicting.
Well, yeah, everybody hits it better off the turf, but it's just going to make you soft, Wade. You're going to get out there and start to sweat. You're going to fall
Well,
apart.
it's better than breaking my brand new clubs in half because of how hard the ground is right now.
That's
It
true,
hasn't
yeah.
rained in Louisiana for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We have a 20% chance to rain on Friday and a cold front moving in on Wednesday. It's supposed to be 98 degrees, and it's classified as a cold front. So that's I'm looking forward to that one because I have my Wednesday night league scramble. I better pack a jacket. I gotta be careful. But no, it is what it is. It's summer. The heat wave's supposed to end here, I think, in like 2 weeks is what they're predicting. But we'll see. But I feel bad for these football players we're about to talk about that are actually going to be out there running around in pads. Playing
Playing in
turf
Ireland
fields.
doesn't sound too bad.
No, I think I'd take the trip over there to Ireland. But let's go ahead and jump on into it. Start off with some NFL headlines. They were just breaking left after right. I kept updating the notes. I was like, come on, man. I'm trying to put the final copy on my laptop. We'll start with Ezekiel Elliott. Signs with the Patriots. 1 year, I think it was $6.5 million. Tyler, what do you think? Big Zeke, is he going to be eaten in New England?
I definitely think so. It's going to be a split backfield. It sucks. I was very high on Ramondre Stevenson. If you've been listening and watching to this podcast, I have Ramondre Stevenson in the top 10 of my fantasy running backs. He's ultimately going to slide all the way down. I had him at, honestly, I would have been content with him being, your lead back if you went double wide receiver to start your draft. But now I think that he's still a flex play. I do think that Ezekiel Elliott, whenever they get into the goal line, I just feel like they're going to give Ezekiel Elliott the ball. It just feels similar to what they've been running these past couple of years. Bill Belichick is one of those head coaches that just loves to run both their running backs into the ground. I think that Zeke is going to take what Damian Harris's role was. So I'm not ultimately fading him in fantasy football terms, but I am dropping him down a level whenever he's probably going to go right into that RB dead zone that starts around number 4 this year. But I would still be content taking Ramondre Stevenson as my flex. But in football terms, I definitely think that the Patriots, they probably have one of the best 1-2 punches in the league.
Yeah, I mean, Wade and I were talking a little bit pre-show. I don't think it hurts Stevenson's volume too much. I mean, obviously it does. It's 2 running backs now. I mean, simple math. But I don't think Zeke's going to be used like the workhorse that he originally was intended to be used like in Dallas. I think it's still Stevenson's team, and then Zeke is like your third down red zone for the Patriots. It's a great move. For fantasy, it sucks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are very high on Stevenson. I know Wade loves him. I mean, he's got the Ramondre dreads in his closet that he was going to wear on draft night because he was picking him number one. Wade, have you changed your mind? Are you
I'm
still?
not hitting the panic button quite yet because I would much rather this be Ezekiel Elliott than Dalvin Cook or Leonard Fournette, because Ezekiel Elliott couldn't catch a ham if you threw it at him on Thanksgiving. I mean, that's just
we
not
saw
his
that
game.
plenty of times. I'm surprised it wasn't a turkey, but I think he was always catching that. So,
But y'all know I love Ezekiel Elliott. I have taken him like 4 straight drafts in the Southern Savages League. Maybe we'll see him again this year. I don't know. But I think they can play a complementary role. And Ramondre Stevenson was able to finish in the top 10 of running backs last year with only 5 touchdowns. So touchdowns aren't really where he's getting his points. He's getting his points from being a pass catching running back on dump off passes from Mac Jones. So if he's out there the majority of the time and he's still doing that, I don't think he has to rely on the touchdowns all so much. Probably why they brought in Ezekiel Elliott is because he struggled on the goal line last year, but still got the lion's share of the work. So I think this is bigger for Zeke than it is bad for Ramondre. But I think Ezekiel Elliott's definitely worth an ad or a late draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be one of those guys that bye week you throw him in there and hope maybe he scores a touchdown, and that's how he's going to be very touchdown dependent is what I'm thinking.
And if Ramondre gets hurt, I mean, Zeke, ultimately can become a league winner for you.
Yeah, and the Patriots had a lot of money because they didn't take a buyer's approach in the offseason, but after the draft shaked out and they saw some things going in the AFC, they decided to kind of make a run at it here, and they had $15 million in cap space to work with. So they were able to pay for Elliott here. But I think that since they brought him in so late, they can't possibly be game planning their entire offense around him.
No, I think he's your running back too, for sure. Someone that I think is going to hurts Brees Hall, that's for sure.
That's
Dalvin
much more
Cook.
significant.
Yeah, to the Jets. I think Dalvin Cook comes in, running back one, plug him in with Aaron Rodgers, just let them do their thing. I mean, Tyler, Brees Hall was, he's coming off an ACL injury, but had a phenomenal start to the season, and people were really taking high flyers on him this time. But I think I'd pump the brakes on him this go around. What do you think?
I think I was pumping the brakes on Brees Hall anyways because he was coming off of that ACL injury, like you mentioned. But now that Dalvin Cook is in the mix, if you're talking about a split backfield, I agree with you, Wade. I think that this is a worse situation than what Ramondre Stevenson is going to be dealing with. Dalvin Cook, he still has a lot of tank in the gas. The Minnesota Vikings, whenever he was with them last season, I think that he was one of the best fantasy running backs that you can get. So I wasn't really all that high on Brees Hall. Well, I know that he's, one of the elite pass catching backs in the NFL. So I would probably not even touch Brees Hall. And Dalvin Cook, that would definitely be worth a late flyer. You got to play the ADP game, and I would rather have Dalvin Cook in the later rounds.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of tank in the gas or a lot of gas in the tank. The world will never know. But I think I'm taking Dalvin Cook. So, I mean, it's just like last year. He was a running back one at Minnesota. Of course, different quarterback, different kind of team situation there. But I think he fits into this offense perfectly. And if you need a running back, come pick, round 6 or 7, and he's still on the board, take him. Or Wade, take him with the number 1 pick in the draft. I mean, what do you think?
Well, guys, is this a year where if you're playing in a double flex league or even a single flex league, do you take one of these committees to just guarantee yourself points if it's a productive offense like the Jets?
Or draft both of them and start them both? Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
right.
Might as well. They're both going to provide you points. You rather have that than go to like a backfield that's not really a good offense. I mean, these are two of really good offenses. The Patriots offense, Mac Jones had some question marks, I think. But, if you're on the Jets, you got Aaron Rodgers there. You got Garrett Wilson there. I mean, that is just fantasy heaven right there to have those two running backs. So, honestly, if you want to handcuff and have that both on your roster, I would definitely take them.
Because you could gamble and play, 3 guys that have 60% of the backfield for other teams And then if all the secondary guys get touchdowns that week, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
But if you
That's true.
guarantee yourself a touchdown between the two of them every week, you might not be.
One of them's going to get
Hey,
it.
I did that with Leonard Fournette and what was
Ronald
his name?
Jones?
Rojo
Rojo.
and Leonard
Tampa.
Fournette. I just started both of them. And said, look,
And I did it last year in
Rashawn
Tampa.
White in their backup.
Exactly. You just throw them both in and let it roll and see what happens.
Where's Leonard gonna sign? Speaking of Leonard,
Oh,
I think Dallas.
Oh my God! Please no. Not another running back that I've been hyping up. Please.
They're all gonna fall like dominoes now that the price has been set. We saw Elliott get $6 million, which was higher than any of us thought, and then that
Cook got
jacked
8,
up
7.5.
Dalvin Cook's value for sure.
Yeah. You know, I'm actually
I
really
feel like the
surprised.
Bears would be like the backfield that I would see him going in because like
that'd be a
Khalil
big- that'd be a
Herbert,
good one.
Roshan Johnson, there's really not a quote unquote RB1 there. So if he really wants to be the RB1, go there. I think that Dallas definitely makes a lot of sense. It would definitely pain me because I've been talking up Tony Pollard.
I know everybody
yeah,
you're
I
picking,
think-
Tyler. They're signing these
So
running
Well,
please
that's
go
just
to
how the NFL
Chicago.
works
Don't
now.
go to Dallas.
You need multiple guys that can run it, and that's part of the reason why they're not getting paid
Yeah.
quite as much.
You know, I'm kind of surprised because Lenny's from New Orleans. He was always said he wanted to play for the Saints. I'm surprised he didn't take a visit down there. They just signed Darrell Williams, former LSU running back. Signed him to kind of be their third string. Robinson tore his Achilles. That's his name, right? Or is it Johnson?
Kendra Miller.
No, I'm talking about their fourth string guy. Benjamin,
Benjamin?
right? Yeah. Tore his Achilles. Miller has that little right knee sprain. Of course, Kamara is going to miss the first 3 weeks. So I like the signing of Darrell Williams. He's a hard runner, but it would have been interesting to see Lenny down there. But I don't know. You got Alvin Kamara and Leonard Fournette kind of in that because they were drafted the same year, weren't they?
Yeah, and you could get Kareem Hunt for cheaper, and he's essentially, I don't know, maybe a
Where's
better player.
Kareem Hunt going? I mean,
He
would
took
think,
a visit to the Colts. That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
With one of their guys going down, and Jonathan Taylor, he's expected to be back this week in fall camp, but you still don't know what you're going to get out of that offense.
I don't know if he's even going to play. I
Yes.
mean, he's not too happy with old Jim Irsay. But I mean, if we had a crystal ball, we'd be millionaires because we'd be making every bet and we'd be great at fantasy
Yep.
football. But all we can do is speculate. So if you want to hear more of our speculations, hit the little subscribe button. I've got it down there on the bottom and the little thing I added. Leave us a comment where you think Leonard Fournette's going to sign. I know we got a bunch of LSU guys in the chat. Neilio, Linden, all y'all are in there. Let us know where you think playoff Lenny signs and if he's going to win him another Super Bowl. Other big news that broke, The Blind Side, the beloved movie from our childhood with Sandra Bullock and Tim McGraw. Comes out today that Michael Orr is suing the Tui family. Is that right? Am I saying that?
Yes.
We have
Yep.
SJ Tui, Tyler's hero.
The
as a young kid.
KFC legends.
Yes, the KFC legends. He's
KFC
suing them.
connoisseurs.
He's suing them because apparently he didn't make any money from the movie. For one, they made all the money,
Which we knew, but we didn't know the rest of this.
Yeah.
They tricked him into signing I think it's called a
Conservatorship.
yeah, conservative. That's a hard word to say. Basically, what Britney Spears' dad did to her. And I mean, and they also never officially adopted him. My question is, why is it coming out now? It happened like 25 years ago.
Well, I think he just found out it was a conservatorship instead of an adoption. They
Oh,
told
he
him it
just
was an
found out?
adoption. Yeah.
Oh, snap. Well, that
They
changed
told him it
things.
was an adoption this whole time, so he was all, happy about it. And
Mhm.
he always had a beef with the movie, but I don't think that was with the family. I think it was with.
Well, that goes back to the NCAA. He can't profit. Well,
it would be different nowadays. He could have gotten
He
paid
was
the whole
wait.
time.
He was in the NFL when the movie came out.
Yeah.
Right, but he couldn't profit off of like certain parts of it from when he was amateur, and
Huh.
but he always had a beef with the movie, but not with the family until yesterday.
Yeah, I mean that's talk about the ultimate con job. I mean, people are saying that Sandra Bullock should give back her Oscar. I don't know about all that. I mean, if
It's
he
not
didn't
her
even know
fault.
he wasn't
It's
adopted,
not her
she's
fault.
not.
She's not the
She
real
didn't
lady.
know about it. She was just going along with what the director was saying.
Well, I mean, this is Twitter or X as we call it. So there's not the smartest people on there, that are commenting this. But I saw that and I kind of chuckled. I was like, yeah, because Sandra Bullock was involved in the cover up of Michael Orr not being
I
adopted.
saw the sequel will be called Blindside 2. Blindsided.
Yeah,
We all got blindsided.
Yeah, we definitely all got blindsided. He definitely did too. So, I don't know. Interesting news come out. I don't know how. I mean, the dude's in the NFL. He's got a lawyer, obviously, probably a financial advisor. I don't know how he didn't look into this. Be like, hey, it's not
The
right.
NFL
here.
checks quit coming in. They started looking a little closer.
Yeah, they got to get another source of income. They're like, yeah, we
Wanted
should
to
be
get
making
that
some
movie
here.
money, and then they're like, oh, here's another avenue.
Well, I think he could probably write a book now and sell it. Probably make more. The movie only made like $300 million, according to what I read today. Which
He can just
back
release
then was a
his
lot.
version of it, and it'll be another Netflix Untold. Like jumping in.
there you
There we go. There's the next Untold right there.
Yeah, I mean, we got the
Blindside
Twitter
was
one.
fake. How we were all dubbed.
Untold, blindsided. There you go, right there. Untold, reach out to us. We're available for promotions and also parts in the movie.
We'll be witnesses of this.
You can play SJ, Tyler. You
I
looked like
can.
as a kid. Now you can just play grown up SJ.
Michael Orr, just sign this piece of paper,
Playing
man.
Madden
It's,
and eating Taco Bell on a regular.
Exactly. So, but yeah, that news came out today, and I think it had the whole sports world shocked.
Did he even spend the night in a laundromat on the floor?
I don't know. I mean, I did that as a kid to make myself tougher.
Looking
because I
back on the
saw it
movie,
in
some of those were definitely sus. There's no way that man didn't know what a bed was.
I'm sure it was dramatized. I mean, it was still a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, it was.
It's a touching movie. Coach O's in it.
A lot of coaches are.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Coach O is the coach at Ole Miss.
He honestly would have went to
down.
LSU if it wasn't for all this, because with the Tuies, with all their money, he was going to go to LSU as long as Nick Saban left. Whenever Nick Saban left to coach the Miami Dolphins, that was all she wrote for Michael Orr, and he went to Ole Miss. He got influenced.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit of tampering going on there. The NCAA
Coach O paying the Tuies in KFC.
Yeah. I don't
Chicken
know
on
the
a
KFC
stick.
part. What is the KFC part? Do they own
Because
KFC?
they owned all the KFCs in Memphis.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Taco Bells. And
Yeah,
Pizza
Taco
Huts.
Bell. They like Taco Bell every night in that movie.
Well, hey, they had to get a big and bulky to play offensive line, man. He's got to be a big guy. So, but yeah, that was other NFL news. We'll get to that Johnny Manziel Untold documentary in a little bit when we get to the college football. But other thing, NFL preseason week 1's in the books. Who impressed you? Who didn't impress you? Trey Lance. And what team's for real this year? Wade, what do you think?
I think a team that people are kind of sleeping on, to me at this point, we just talked about them, the New England Patriots. I think they're not ready to give up this division. I think they'll be better than they were last year, but I'm not ready to pick them as a sleeper team. Honestly, I'm going to stay here in Louisiana and say the Saints. I mean, I just think they have an easy path. And I think
Tyler's got the hat on.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I wore it.
I don't know how they work the salary cap, but they have the most complete offense in the division.
Cap is fake money. It's not real.
It's like every year they're in depth, and Mickey Loomis in the front office finds a way every year to get under.
It's monopoly money. You just push it down the road like your taxes.
You pass go, you collect your $200, and you go pick another player. Like, ooh, Darrell Williams, come on.
Yeah. I haven't paid taxes in 3 years. You just keep pushing it down the road.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
No, that's a joke.
Here comes the government.
Our show's going to get shut down.
Yeah, if you're listening, that's a joke. I pay my taxes every year.
Sued.
I know I pay my taxes because they're hitting me hard. But no, the Saints, I think Derek Carr played for one drive, so I'm not saying he's going to win the MVP, but he was efficient. He was commanding. They drove right down the field. They were throwing screen plays, go routes. Talk about Jameis Winston playing the majority of the game. He looked really good. A.T. Perry, good draft pick there. And I mean, Kamara he only ran the ball twice, but he had that explosion that he's been missing.
The explosion that he didn't really have last season.
Yeah. So, and the defense, I mean, with the starters in there, they were up 17-0 against the Chiefs. And then I was like, this game's over. I'm going to the gym. I get in my truck after leaving the gym. Game alert, 24-23. And I'm like, what? We were up 17-0 before halftime. And I was backups. Yeah, I was like, it's the 4-string starters, whatever, no big deal. And then I saw they put in the cat that they grabbed. Oh, I can't remember his name. Their kicker kicked the game-winning field goal as time expired. He got questioned before he came into the stadium. They didn't believe it was him. He had to like convince the security guard to let him onto the field. And then when he was leaving the field, they thought he was a fan celebrating. So I think he made his presence known, but it's going to be a while before he takes over Will Lutz's job. I mean, Tyler, are we on the Saints bandwagon to win the Super Bowl this year?
I think hold the brakes on Super Bowl. I did have them winning 11 wins because of the schedule. I think that it's really set up nicely. And, the first drive of offense, I mean, that was way better than what we saw last season.
Yeah,
Only
it was
19 points per
they
game
drove right
on offense.
field.
Derek
Boom.
Carr looked cool, calm, and collected. You already saw his connection with Jawan Johnson. Alvin Kamara looked pretty good. We saw Michael Thomas hauling a catch. That's definitely going to be good news if he can stay on the field. And then we saw Olave and then A.T. Perry. I mean, that was just an absolute steal. Like, how did everyone else let him fall to that? But I think that my preseason takeaway in week number 1 was a struggle. Pretty much all the rookie quarterbacks. C.J. Stroud on his first
Welcome
possession.
to the league, rookie.
He threw interception. Anthony Richardson on his first possession, he also threw interception. Then Bryce Young didn't really look too hot because the Panthers' offensive line, decided not to block. They are just garbage offensive line. That's definitely going to be an issue if you're picking the Panthers to win this division. And then we saw Will Levis. I think that Will Levis was pretty good. And then we also saw Stetson Bennett. I think that, he threw a touchdown. If Matthew Stafford ever goes down with injury, I think that Stetson Bennett could definitely come in and really be a valuable option. I'm not saying that the Rams are going to be all that great of a team, but I definitely think he can be a viable quarterback too out there in Los Angeles.
I mean, Stetson Bennett is basically Matt Stafford 2.0, if we're being honest. I want to talk a little bit about the Saints tight end room. You mentioned Jawan Johnson. I think Jawan's an option for a late round draft pick because you already saw that chemistry. Yeah, they'd signed Foster Moreau, but I mean, he's coming back from cancer. I mean, I can't imagine he's going to play too much or have too big of an impact. Jimmy Graham, one of those feel-good guys. The stadium went crazy when he had that catch, but he's older. You throw him in the red zone maybe once or twice a game, try to get him a catch. And of course, Taysom Hill, but Taysom Hill's Taysom Hill. I mean, you can't rely on him to be your tight end. So I think Jawan Johnson, he keeps that what's the word I'm looking for? Help me out here. Starts with a C.
X factor.
No, he keeps building that relationship, not a C and R.
Rapport.
Yes, rapport
Confidence.
with Derek Carr. Confidence and rapport with Derek Carr. I think it's gonna be an issue for opposing defenses. So we got rookie quarterback struggled. Welcome, like I said, welcome to the NFL. Did Will Levis play this weekend?
He did.
How did he do?
I think he played pretty well. He played behind Malik Willis. I think that Malik Willis is on life support in Tennessee. It just feels like Ryan Tannehill is going to start it off this season. I think that he's probably got like 1 or 2 more years in him in Tennessee. I think that the Titans are going to roll with Will Levis. I think that Will Levis, out of all the rookie quarterbacks, I think that he looked pretty good outside, of Stetson Bennett, like I've already mentioned.
Yeah, that was actually kind of surprising to see. And like you said, that the year that Malik Willis was drafted, Trey Lance, those are kind of like looking to be like busts. Now we haven't seen him play a ton, but I don't want to, claim it too early. But let's get over to our fantasy football corner with our fantasy football expert Tyler. We got a little something different this week. So
he's got to shuffle his rankings.
Yeah, I'll put them on the screen. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so another week, another dollar as we got the fantasy football corner. Just a few more weeks left in this preseason edition, and then we'll get into the regular season edition where we'll have our annual starts and sit-ems. This week, it's the best picks in each round of fantasy football. So we're going to go round 1 through 16. I'm going to go in depth for more of the round 1 through 9, and then we'll just list off rounds 10 through 16. So I know that you're already going to say Tyreek Hill, the best pick in first round. There's multiple factors. We're going for upside and value. We know that Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, what they're going to do. They're the best wide receivers in that. We know what CMC is going to do. We know what Austin Eckler is going to do. I think that Tyreek Hill is going to be one of those wide receivers that is going to be right up there with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Tyreek Hill, even with a banged up Tua Tagovailoa, just look at his stats last year, 1,700 yards. I would not be shocked if Tyreek Hill gets 2,000 yards with a healthy Tua. Tua, he's been doing a lot of training in the offseason to get his bodies right. He's been doing jiu-jitsu in the offseason to
He'll
help
learn
him,
how to get tackled.
yeah, learn how
fall.
to get tackled and go down. I think that Tua, we're going to see a fully healthy Tua. I think that he's definitely motivated to stay healthy. I think that this Miami Dolphins team is just going ready to explode. I think that all the hype is surrounding the Jets, but I think that this Dolphins offense is going to be legit. I think that Tyreek Hill, the way that he's going right now, he's going at like pick 5 right now. I know that another wide receiver that we're looking at also is Cooper Kupp, but Cooper Kupp, with his injuries, with a really bad team, I'm just putting Tyreek Hill ahead of Cooper Kupp right now. So I think that Tyreek Hill, with the value that he has, with the elite upside, the elite level speed that he has, I mean, he is just still got a lot left in him. So Tyreek Hill is my best pick in round number 1. So let's go on now to round number 2. This is where the draft really starts.
Chubby.
And we go from wide receiver position to the running back position. Nick Chubb moved up in my rankings. If you two boys got my cheat sheet, Nick Chubb was outside of my top 5. He's now moved in to the number 5 spot over Tony Pollard. I just think that they're going to just feed Nick Chubb over and over and over again. Like I mentioned on last week's episode, Jerome Ford is their running back number 2. Kareem Hunt is no longer there. I do think that Jerome Ford will get involved in this one, but not as heavily as Kareem Hunt. I don't think that Jerome Ford is as talented as a running back as we saw of Kareem Hunt. And Nick Chubb is, like I mentioned, he is just Mr. Consistent in fantasy football. And looking at round 2, especially if you pick the wide receiver at the start, if you get, one of the elite wide receivers with either Jefferson and Chase and get Nick Chubb, that is probably the best start that you can ask for in fantasy football. So I think that Nick Chubb, especially when you're playing in a PPR format, I think that he is one of those guys. If you look at his stats, he was really the only one of the running backs last year to get 5 yards per carry. So it can just excel at running the football and also catching the football. So I think that Nick Chubb is an exceptional pick in round number 2. I think he's worthy of a round 1 pick. If you pick Nick Chubb in round 1 at the back end, definitely wouldn't say anything wrong to you. But if he slides down to round number 2, this is an exceptional value for a player like Nick Chubb. Let's go on now.
Not a deal.
Yeah, still not a deal. Round 3, we do have some news. Chris Olave is now in round number 3, and you also have a lot of talent. You also got Tony Pollard in this round, A.J. Brown in this round, DK Metcalf. So round 3 is your money round. This is where you're probably going to get a really good player, either a running back or wide receiver. But I'm going to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is a guy that I'm just all in on. I think that this Lions offense is ready to contend in the NFC North. It just feels like their year. Amon-Ra really showed his talent last year. As you saw, only 6 touchdowns. I know that he's projected only 5.7. Take the over. I think that he's going to crush that over with ease. Jared Goff, he's going to be looking to them, especially with Jameson Williams being out for the first 6 games of the season. It just feels like Amon-Ra's offense, there's really no one to contend with his target shares. You have Jahmyr Gibbs coming out of the backfield along with David Montgomery. Those are probably the only 2 guys that I'm really worried on of taking his target. So I think that it's going to be the Amon-Ra show. If you want a guy that it's really going to start out the season hot, especially with Jameson Williams suspended for the first half of the season, I think Amon-Ra is going to get off to a hot start, and he's going to continue that all throughout the 2023 season. I expect him to be in the top 5 race of the wide receiver position this season. Let's go on now to round number 4. Let's get a tight end in this one. We want to talk about the running backs and the wide receivers all the time, but if you can't get Travis Kelce, I think the next best thing for fantasy managers is Mark Andrews. There's just something telling me that the Baltimore Ravens offense is definitely ready to take a leap of faith up. Last year was just a lot of injuries. Lamar Jackson was out for most of the season. The wide receivers, Rashad Bateman was out. Mark Andrews, I don't really want to look at his stats from last year. He was hurt.
He was hurt a lot.
He had to deal with a bad offense. There was a lot of backups involved. The Ravens, I think, are really going to contend with the Bengals. I think that everybody's going to be picking the Bengals to win this division, but I think that the Ravens and this offense is just ready to contend in this division. Like I mentioned, there's not really two really good elite tight ends. It just feels like Kelsey is up there on tier number 1, and then Mark Andrews is in by himself with tier number 2. So if you're trying to get that elite tight end before you exit your draft, I think that, and you're in round 4, I think that the value is there. I've been seeing Mark Andrews go even early as round number 3. But I think that if he slides down to round number 4, Mark Andrews would definitely be worth the draft capital in round number 4. Let's go on now to round number 5. And this is a guy I think that all the hype early in the season, I know that in July I talked up about Bijan Robinson. I'm starting to get really into Jahmyr Gibbs. I think that he is becoming one of my favorite rookie running backs to draft. I know that everyone's going to be bringing up David Montgomery. I think that he would definitely be a solid, valuable option coming off of your bench. But the Lions love Jahmyr Gibbs. They didn't take Jahmyr Gibbs at pick number 12 to not use him heavily. If you saw Jahmyr Gibbs both at Georgia Tech and Alabama, he is an elite pass catching back. And if you want a comparison, it just feels like Alvin Kamara all over again. I think that he's going to have an Alvin Kamara rookie-esque season. Like I said, I'm all in on this Lions offense. So if Amon-Ra already being on this list, Jahmyr Gibbs is not too far ahead of him. I would not be shocked if Jahmyr Gibbs finishes as a top 20 fantasy running back. I definitely think this is a steal in round number 5. I know that rookies, I'm tired of the question mark, like, oh, I haven't seen him on the field, I'm not going to take him. Who cares? Like, you want upside in round number 5, and later on, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to give you that in this offense. And his ability, especially in PPR, he's going to be a PPR machine as a running back. Let's go on now to round number 6, a wide receiver that I'm also
Tyler, why didn't he play in 2022? Could you in case anybody didn't know?
He was gambling like we sometimes do in fantasy football and all of this. But obviously, like
he was a trailblazer. Everybody else followed suit.
Yeah, like you mentioned, he did not play in 2022. The last time we saw him on the football field was about 2 years ago with the Atlanta Falcons, and he was definitely one of the top fantasy wide receivers in the game. I think that he's going into an offense that showed his capability in last season. I think that Calvin Ridley, we saw him in training camp, and we also saw him a couple of plays in week number 1. I think that Calvin Ridley is going to be the wide receiver 1. Christian Kirk is going to be right up there along him too. I think that Kirk would definitely be a late value for the Jaguars. But this Jaguars offense, I think with Trevor Lawrence, he's going to continue to take a leap up every year. So I think that Calvin Ridley, he's got some elite traits that you want in the wide receiver position. To get him in round number 6, I mean, if you're playing in a 2-flex league, if you have Calvin Ridley as a flex, that's honestly a cheat code, especially if you pair him up with one of your elite wide receivers that you have. So I think that Calvin Ridley, I think that, yes, there's going to be a little bit of rust, but I'm not really seeing it throughout training camp, throughout his preseason action. I think that Calvin Ridley, not really much of a risk here in round number 6. So let's go on now to round number 7. I'm going to go with Miles Sanders. I think that Miles Sanders, in Philadelphia didn't really know how to use Miles Sanders. I think now that he's going to be the feature back in Carolina, there is Chuba Hubbard behind him, but that's not really too much of a worry. I think that Miles Sanders last year, I think he had a phenomenal 2022 campaign, 11 touchdowns, a real 180 from the 2021 season where he had a goose egg of touchdowns. So I think that wouldn't surprise me if he did that again. Carolina is going to be one of those teams that feels like is going to run the football, especially with a rookie quarterback with Bryce Young getting some reps in. So I feel like Carolina, with Frank Wright being there, we saw Frank Wright, what he did with Jonathan Taylor in his rookie season. I feel like Miles Sanders is going to use a pretty comparison lead than what Jonathan Taylor did with the Indianapolis Colts. So let's go on now to round number 8. Going to go with Chris Godwin. We're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who obviously want to talk about the quarterback situation. Is going to be Baker Mayfield, is going to be Kyle Trask. If you want any of the Buccaneers wide receiver, I'm going to take Chris Godwin over Mike Evans. It feels like Mike Evans is on the way down, entering his age 30 season. Chris Godwin just feels like, with only 3 touchdowns, I mean, Tom Brady had one of his worst years, if not the worst year of his career in 2022. So the quarterback play wasn't that great. I ultimately do think that Baker Mayfield will get the nod at the quarterback 1 position. So I think that if you're this slate, Chris Godwin, he's shown consistent. If he's not going to get you touchdowns, he will give you that reception points in PPR. But I do think that he will, improve that 3 touchdowns. So I'll say that he gets 5 touchdowns this season. Let's go on now to round number 9. Let's go with James Cook. Running backs in the AFC East has been a talk of the town. I think that James Cook, you saw his stats. He didn't really see the field. It was Devin Singletary's backfield. Devin Singletary is now with the Texans. I think that James Cook, I saw him in training camp as well. I have been very impressed. It feels like James Cook is ready to be a 3-down back for a really good offense. James Cook is going to be unleashed by the Buffalo Bills. So that's more the in-depth. Let's go on now to listing off some players. Let's go on now to –
before we jump into that one, I do want to note James Cook. His middle name is Dalvin, just like his brother. So you have James Dalvin Cook and Dalvin James Cook. They'll be playing now.
In the same division.
Yes.
Yep, same division.
A bit there. All right, let's go
on to rounds 10 through 13. As you can see, all wide receivers. Tyler Lockett, wide receiver of the Seattle Seahawks. I think that, DK Metcalf is a solid wide receiver. They did add Jackson Smith and Jigba. But I think that Tyler Lockett, in round 10 this late, I mean, he's been Mr. Consistent. I feel like every year that people try to doubt him, he's just putting it on. I think that with the quarterback of Geno, he's really going to help it out. Round 11, let's go with Juju Smith-Schuster, Patriots wide receiver. If you've seen the Patriots wide receiver depth chart, that ain't much. Juju's pretty much it. Mac Jones, I think that he's going to look to Juju pretty consistently. So I think that Juju being a wide receiver 1 this slate, I would definitely take him. There's really no competition, especially in the PPR league. Juju is going to get guaranteed catches every single week. Round number 12 is Jahan Dotson. I think that he's due for a breakout, right up there with the Washington Commanders. I think that Sam Howell, like I mentioned, will be the quarterback. John Dotson already caught a touchdown in preseason. Sam Howell is already looking towards him. So I think that Howell and Dotson already had that connection that you're looking for. Round number 13, Jordan Addison. I am all in also on Jordan Addison. I think that Addison, along with Justin Jefferson, that's really going to be a nice compliment. Don't get me wrong, Jay Jettis is going to be the wide receiver 1. If you're going to pick Justin Jefferson, don't even worry about Jordan Addison. But I do think that Jordan Addison will definitely be the wide receiver 2 in Minnesota. And I think that the rookies, I'm all in on the rookie wide receivers, Jordan Addison, in round number 13. Let's go on now to the back end. Let's go with Tyler Higbee in round number 14. Like I mentioned, outside of Cooper Kupp, there really isn't anybody outside of him other than Tyler Higbee. And Matthew Stafford also loves to throw it to the tight end. So if you're looking for a late flyer at the tight end, if you haven't, if you missed out on one of the top tight ends, I think that even having Tyler Higbee as your primary tight end or coming off of the bench, that would definitely be a solid option. Round 15, Geno Smith. If you have him as your backup quarterback, that is definitely fine. If you have him as your starter, a little bit risky, but honestly, I love it. I think that Geno Smith, we saw what he could do last season, and they improved on the offensive side of the ball too. Adding JSN to that offense is going to be lethal. So I think that Geno Smith, he was really consistent last year. So I would not be, shocked if somebody has him starting in their fantasy football leagues this year.
I mean, if you get him at round 15, that's a steal as a starting quarterback.
All right, round 16 could have gone a whole lot of different ways here. Round 15, 16, I think that primarily will be for kickers, the defenses in our leagues. But if you're still looking for a late flyer, I think that you're going to go with Nico Collins of the Houston Texans. Brandon Cooks is no longer there. They added Dalton Schultz. Nico Collins just feels like he's going to be the wide receiver 1. And we'll definitely be interested to see. I think it's going to be Davis Mills to start the season. But I think that Nico Collins, you could also went with Quentin Johnston, the rookie for the Chargers. I think that he could also be a viable option. So that is the best pick in every round. I'll leave the floor open to y'all. What y'all thought of the 16 players that were mentioned?
I liked Jahmyr Gibbs where you had him. I mean, he's a guy that's not a lot of people. I think you had him at round 5. It's a little bit of a risk, but you gotta swing for the fences. And then Calvin Ridley, I think is a guy that people are gonna forget about. But I was watching their preseason game. The dude's blazing fast. I mean, he's going to run past corners left and
His
right.
separation is just elite.
Yeah, so you get him. I mean, Taylor Lawrence, or Trevor Lawrence. I'm sorry. It's like he feels comfortable in that offense, and I think we're going to see the Clemson Trevor Lawrence, not the Jaguars Trevor Lawrence we've seen the past couple of years. Wait, are you still picking Justin Jefferson number one? I think you got to take Tyreek Hill, or I mean, possibly like Mark Andrews or Nick Chubb.
You keep forgetting that I gave you Justin Jefferson for free his rookie year.
Not my fault.
Way back when. So you've already had your luck with him. No, I like these, Tyler, a lot. I think there's some guys that you didn't list that I think could also benefit, like Christian Kirk. I think, if he falls to around 7, I like him just as much as Ridley to some extent, because I think he just gets a lot of targets. And
he played last year, so
yeah. So I think he's going to be pretty good in a really good offense. For years I've gone off of volume when I've picked fantasy teams, and last year I really tried to make the switch to just value and being in a good offense. So I'm not afraid of timeshares. I'm not afraid of guys that are wide receiver number 2s on their team, just because if the offense is good, they're going to get their opportunities, right? And I think that goes for running backs too. I mean, nobody's scared to take T. Higgins or Jalen Waddle, but now people are going to be scared to take Breece Hall and Ramondre Stevenson and guys that. So
with all the running back free agency markets and the holdouts and things of that such, I don't think I'm touching a running back till like around 4 or 5. I think I'm just going 3 straight wide receivers and then rocking and rolling.
Yeah, you want to get an alpha wide receiver or one of the few bell cows.
Yeah, so unless somebody falls in my lap. But that was our fantasy football corner. Tyler's going to cook up something for us next week. What will it be? You'll have to.
We're going to be doing a mock draft next week, boys.
Well, you gave away the answer, Tyler. Yeah, we had the people.
I got to have that. I didn't know you were going to do that. All right.
We'll do a mock draft. That'll be fun. Speaking of mock drafts, who got that dog in it? Where we draft our dog of the week each week. That transition was pretty good, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, well, that one
was something.
Yeah, so dog of the week. In the notes, it said Wade's got a good one. So, Wade, blow us away. What do you got?
All right. Well, I probably set this up for failure by hyping it up so much, but I was just ecstatic watching baseball yesterday while folding laundry. I threw on a random game to pass time. It was the Baltimore Orioles versus the Seattle Mariners, and Baltimore Orioles center fielder Cedric Mullins, he was supposed to get a Sunday off. Well, they brought him in as a defensive replacement in the 8th inning. And in the 9th inning, Seattle had a chance to hit a game-tying home run, and Cedric Mullins went airborne over the wall to rob the Mariners of the game-tying home run. The very next batter says, "No, thank you. I'll take the spotlight," and hits a game-tying home run. So Cedric Mullins' efforts all for nothing, right? Well, then he comes up to lead off the top of the 10th in the next frame and jacks a 2-run home run to give the Orioles a go-ahead lead. So he made quick work and just said, "I'll take over the game in my 2 innings of work." I mean, he came off the bench and saved the game and then won the game. So I think
always got to be ready. You never know when you'll get your number called.
Dog of the week.
All right, Tyler, what you got?
Well, I'm going to pick somebody out of this 21-3 game that happened this past weekend. Rookie, it wasn't a rookie debut. It was a debut for the Braves. Nicky Lopez, a stat that Shohei Ohtani wished that he had. He went 4 for 6, had a 2-run blast, even though it was off a position player. And then since they were up so big, Nicky Lopez came in and pitched the 9th inning, and he shut down the Mets, the hapless Mets that won't even make the playoffs. Boo-hoo.
Yeah,
so Nicky Lopez of the Atlanta Braves got that dog in him.
What's happening in New York, man? I mean, the Mets and the Yankees. I saw a stat where like the Yankees
all that money to just be last.
Yeah. I think I don't remember which conference it was paired up with, but the Yankees record would have been first in that opposite conference. So I mean that's just the game of baseball, but yeah, that's pretty bad for both of them. My dog of the week, rookie wide receiver A.T. Perry of the New Orleans Saints in his first preseason NFL game. I know it's the preseason. He had an acrobatic catch for a touchdown. Had a stat line of 6 catches, 70 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, that we're looking at 15 fantasy points right there, maybe
There you
16.
go.
So
Yeah.
I mean, that's round 16. Grab all A.T. Perry out there in the late rounds and throw them in. So dog of the week, let us know in the comments who your dog of the week is, and of course vote on that Twitter poll over at Sports Scramble 4. Let's get on over to some college football. I want to start with the Johnny Manziel Untold documentary. Now Wade hasn't seen it. Not really any spoilers because we lived it. We were 18 years old or 16 years old. I think it was in 2014 when he was playing college ball. Interesting stuff. I mean, we knew his partying, his playboy lifestyle, his alcohol issues eventually led to him, being cut from the Cleveland Browns. But he doesn't seem to really, you would think the story would have ended up with him being sober, right? Nah, the dude still plays golf every day, parties it up. I mean, it's a little low key, but people were like, "Oh, it changed my perspective of him. I used to like him, now I don't like him." Blah blah blah. It didn't really change mine. I was like, he was a partier before, he's a partier now. Now he's just got a shit ton of money and he's doing what he likes. So kudos to him. But I want to talk about journalism. Tyler, you're a journalist. Journalism back in 2014, nobody fact checked. You got Manti Te'o out here with a fake girlfriend, and Johnny Manziel telling the media that his parents had oil money.
How's the top two Heisman guys be a guy who's drunk off his butt all the time, and then one has a mysterious girlfriend?
That's a fake girlfriend.
Can we make sure that
revote and let the Kansas State quarterback? I forgot his name, but let the Kansas State.
No, but he had a weird story too.
Can we fact check that? Could have been the Heisman that year.
Can we fact check that Colin Klein didn't have his first kiss till his wedding?
I mean, it's I don't know.
Back then they weren't fact checking nothing.
And is Marcus Mariota really from Hawaii?
Who knows? I mean, it's as much as Manti Te'o's girlfriend is from Hawaii. The world may never know. But it's crazy that nowadays they go back and find somebody's deleted tweets from 2008 and get them, kicked off the team. But they didn't know that Johnny Manziel was selling autographs for millions of dollars. Oh no, his family's got oil money. Like, come on, man.
Texas story, Texas makeup story.
I was near old Kerrville. There's nothing else to do there but play football. So I mean, if you haven't watched it, I definitely recommend it. It's a great documentary. I love those Untold documentaries.
Got one coming up. The
Florida one. It's the Florida one. The one coming up. I got that notification.
I think it's like the end of August that it's going to be released.
I'm scrolling through my phone here. I got a Netflix notification. I didn't even know I got Netflix notifications, but apparently that's a thing. Let me see if I can find it. I know they got the Florida one coming up, but there was one more that was pretty interesting.
I was going to resubscribe to Netflix for the Florida documentary. We finally got booted off the family plan with the new
on it. Hall of Shame. Oh, this is the what is this? Examine one of sports' biggest steroid scandals via interviews with the head of Baltimore Lab. Oh, this is the baseball with Barry Bonds.
Oh.
The steroid.
Well, they could have put a lot of guys on that one. Just make a mega episode. You got McGuire, you got Barry Bonds, you got Tatis.
I think they're all on it. But I think Bonds is like actually giving an interview. So that comes out. Shoot, I just closed Netflix. I think like next Tuesday or something.
All right.
But the Florida one, I'm actually really excited for. I wish that Johnny Manziel one was like a 2 or 3 parter.
Yeah.
I feel like it definitely could have been. I feel like there was so much more of that story.
I feel like I started, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, it was over.
Like the Manti Te'o one was a 2-parter, and it ends on like a cliffhanger. You were like, "What?" And then you watch the next part. It's crazy. So, I like the Untold documentary. They're doing something special over there at Netflix, even though they're charging us out the yin yang $16.99 to have a family plan. Come on, man. We got to start signing autographs, guys. So we got some schools switching to the ACC. It's some schools that aren't happy about it. Cal and Stanford want to go over to the ACC, and 4 schools are like, no, we don't like that. Who are those 4 schools? Trivia time.
Florida State's got to be one of them. Clemson's probably the second one, and I don't know
who make money.
The ones who make money in
North Carolina,
and Miami, probably.
That's probably exactly who it is. I mean, nobody wants to fly across the country. They don't want to be Oregon flying
I mean,
across.
what are they going to
the
bring to the
country.
table, Cal and Stanford? Definitely not that.
They
They're going to
suck.
bring more in the academics, more in the athletics.
I think they just kind of fit the goals and the academics of what the ACC offers. But I saw something interesting. I think Stanford and Cal would be better off recruiting the service academies to go in on a conference with the
Ooh,
service academies, Stanford, Cal, and Notre Dame, and
that
they
would
all
be
could just play each other
I said the
in a
Mountain
few
West
select
last
Power
week. They
5 games.
put them two in the Mountain West.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think it's not just football, right? Stanford just made it to Omaha in baseball, so I mean, and of course they have a fun. I think they have a pretty good softball team, golf. They got it going on. Cal beats me.
Well, the ACC
But
plays all the secondary sports really well, similar
yeah,
to how Stanford and Cal are, probably amongst the NCAA's leaders in trophies. I mean, it's water polo and field hockey and stuff like that. But the ACC schools also are pretty competitive in that realm. But it's got to be hard for athletes that aren't football players because they're
especially if you're
expected to.
playing multiple times a week. That's what
Yeah, during the week they play weekday games and they're chasing degrees
school
that
girls,
they
boys.
probably will have to use more so in their life because there's not a professional option for their sport.
That is true. I mean, it's this conference realignment thing. I mean, they had it right from the get go. But it doesn't make sense when the Big Ten's pulling freaking Oregon and USC. Like, it makes zero sense. The conferences should be geographical. It's all about money now. It should just go back to being geographical. That's my 2 cents, my soapbox. Conferences leading the AP Top 25 poll that just came out. No surprise, the SEC's up there, and then of course you got Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, LSU. Really no different than what we read last week with the preseason like NAPCA poll. I don't even know
It
who
was a
that
coaches
was.
poll.
Was it the coaches poll? They had a
Yeah.
weird.
This is
acronym.
now like the official poll.
But the big
They use.
news, Alabama number 4. That's motivation that nobody wants them to have.
Yeah. And then USC 6, Penn State 7, Florida State 8, Clemson 9, Washington 10. So we got a
There we
top
go. They
10
listen to me.
matchup. LSU, Florida State.
They moved
Big
Washington
one.
up.
Yeah. And then you go Texas 11, Tennessee 12, Notre Dame 13, Utah 14, Oregon 15. Texas at 11 feels a little high, but
Yeah.
I guess you got to throw them in there somewhere. And of course, Notre Dame just throw them in the middle. They're not in the conference. Let them be in the top 25. Kent State at 16, TCU 17, Oregon State at 18. Am I reading the baseball preseason top 25? Wisconsin at 19 and Oklahoma at 20. Oklahoma at 20? I know they're expected to have a good year this year, but I mean, they won 4 games last year.
All about the name in the preseason.
Yeah. The preseason more name than just look at who's number 25, Iowa. What have they done in the past couple of years
I
to
thought that
deserve
was
a top
Southern
25
Miss.
spot? Like, what the heck? I'd rather
thought
put
that was-
South Carolina or Texas Tech over them.
All right, North Carolina 21, Ole Miss 22, A&M 23, Tulane 24, and Iowa 25. I'm glad you mentioned that because I thought that was Southern Miss's logo.
No,
That would have
that
made
was
more sense than Iowa.
Well, look, they could just release the polls starting whenever they do the college football
Yeah.
playoff committee
Yeah,
poll.
That's what I've been saying this whole time. The AP poll it doesn't even matter. The AP poll doesn't matter. The poll that matters is the college football playoff poll.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something to talk about. Put the little number next to the name.
They gotta hype up the
game
matchups.
day.
I
Exactly.
mean, for baseball, the Mets and the Padres were supposed to win 110 games. So
Look at them now.
it's
Well,
across the board.
Tell me what sounds better. Sunday night matchup between LSU and Florida State, or Sunday night matchup between 2 top 10 teams, number 8, number 5.
Oh,
The Florida State
100%. That's
Seminoles
why they're
hosting
both
the
in the top
LSU
10.
Tigers in Orlando.
Oh yeah,
Boom.
I get the ranking of it. I just feel like some of these teams just don't belong.
Hey, ABC, if you're looking for somebody to preview the game, a little intro voice, I'm available. I work on commission, so just let me know. Other college football news, Iowa, who's ranked number 25, he should just be happy with it. Their
That
coach
won't last.
is unhappy that the players are betting on Iowa games. I'd be pretty pissed too, but the bets aren't a lot of money, but the fact that they're betting on their own games is a little sus. I mean, you had the kicker that was betting, the over or the under, and he missed the game-winning field goal, and the under hits. Got to watch out for that one. But then you had the guy, I don't remember his name, Wade, you brought it up, makes his first career college touchdown to hit the over, and he took the under. So it's like he shot himself in the foot, but he's playing for the good of the game. So that's good to see. And then we don't really have a conference preview, so we're going to preview the group of 5. And don't worry, we're not getting into like 65 teams. We're each picking a team that we like and telling you what to look out for. So, Tyler, who's your team?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to pick somebody from the Sun Belt. I think that the Sun Belt, if you look at all the Group of 5 conferences, the Sun Belt just feels stacked. I think that, Southern Miss is going to be better. Troy is probably the team to beat. You got South Alabama in there. But I'm going to go with the Roadrunners of UTSA just because Conference USA,
Right, that's straight from me.
If you looked at that conference is freaking garbage. I mean, the Conference USA feels like the next conference to be gone. There's going to be some teams in the next coming years they're going to be moving on to the American, and the American is going to turn into the next mega conference. But really, the only negative that I see on UTSA's schedule is some of the opponents they got to face. They got to go on the road to Houston, on the road to Tennessee, and on the road to Tulane. Good luck with that. I probably see 1 and 2 in there. They probably beat Houston. I'm just not really buying Houston. They probably lose to Tennessee. They probably lose to Tulane, but I could see an upset there. That's probably going to be like the first one to 60, it feels like, with those two offenses. But I think that the Conference USA is going to be UTSA's to lose. I think that they either finish 11-1 and 10-2 with an experienced quarterback with Frank Harris. They've just been really consistent the past couple of years. Their head coach has done a phenomenal job. Their defense also does well too. It feels like it's going to be between Tulane and UTSA, and whenever those two teams meet up, the winner of that could definitely be in the New Year's Six Bowl discussion again.
Yeah, so I like that. I mean, mine is Tulane. I'll go ahead and get into it because I see Wade ferociously typing, trying to find his team. The wheels in the brain are clicking. I like Tulane. I like him at number 24 to start the season. I think they probably don't move much from that.
They got Ole Miss to start.
Yeah, I'm not buying the hype that Twitter accounts like Big Game Boomer are saying that Tulane will be the number 1 team in the state of Louisiana. Are you high? Like, come on.
Watch out for South Alabama week 1, Tulane.
Yeah, I mean, you said they play Ole Miss. They take on South Alabama. They play Southern Miss in Hattiesburg. So I'm not saying they're going undefeated, but I'm saying they're a group of 5 team that'll finish in the top 25. I think Michael Pratt, he had a great year last year, 27 touchdowns, 10 on the ground. He's coming back. He's got unfinished business. He wants to really vault himself up in the stratosphere of quarterbacks because you got a pretty loaded draft class. He has to come back for a good season. Of course, they lost their starting running back, who was kind of their playmaker all year. They lost a few guys on defense, but I could see them bouncing back. There's got to be some losses in there. I'm not predicting undefeated, 11-1, blah, blah, blah. But I'm predicting a reasonable 9-3. That's what I'm going with. If I'm Tulane, that's a success. Wade, you found one yet?
I wasn't frantically finding my team. I was frantically finding y'all facts to back my team and making sure they didn't go like 3-8 last year.
All right, let's see it.
All right, so I'm going to go with one of the newer FBS teams in James Madison University. They acclimated quite well to big boy football last year, going 8-3. They were flirting with an undefeated season until they ran into a tough 3-game stretch last year, losing to Marshall, Louisville, and I think Old Dominion. But nonetheless, this year they come back with a lot of their starters, and they have one of the easiest schedules I've seen. They're playing an in-state game against Virginia. They'll probably be favored in that game. Virginia is one of the worst Power 5 teams.
Yeah,
I think I predicted them to get 2.
They're going to finish dead last in that conference.
I think they could easily take that, and then they get South Alabama, who you mentioned being a Sun Belt favorite. They get them at home, and then they also get a home game against Appalachian State and Georgia Southern, who have been pretty good as well. We'll know if this team's legit when they play Troy on the road in week number 4. I think if they can hang tight in that one or even pull off the upset, this team could go undefeated.
Ooh, undefeated. Okay.
Okay.
Well, watch out for James
Madison to the
Madden.
playoff.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. James Madison. to
James
the
Madison
playoff.
to the Orange Bowl.
How do you deny an undefeated group?
I think that if
five?
UTSA runs the table, I could see them getting.
Well, they would have a win over Tennessee.
Yeah, they would have.
James
a win
Madison
over
would have a
Tennessee.
win over Virginia.
Yeah, they're probably not getting it.
No,
You would have to
but
have
I
a
think that they can
Cincinnati
do
type schedule to get in, and be like a Notre Dame, have that win. I think that if UTSA beats Tennessee, they're right up there.
But next
they
year,
got a top
they would
10,
be
for
allowed.
sure.
They would be in with an automatic bid.
Yeah,
That is true. That I agree. With the conferences going away from the divisions, and then it's just really the best two that play at the end of the season. Automatic bid is in. That's the way you got to do it. That's all I got for college football and NFL. I got some soccer news for you. Mr. Neymar, he agrees to a 2-year deal to join the Saudi funded Al Hilal from PSG. The contract has not been released, but we're going to take numbers. What do we got, Tyler? How much you think he's getting a year?
750 million.
A year? Okay. That's I think that's what Ronaldo got. And then of course you have Mbappe getting like 1.4 billion, or that was the total. Wade?
A blank check.
Okay. All right. I think he's probably around 800, 850. I think Neymar, while he's a little older, he brings the recognition. It's the same thing with Live Golf. They signed the Phil Mickelson, the Ian Poulter, the Sergio Garcias, the guys that aren't going to win. And then you go after Mbappe is Cam Smith. Throw him a bag. He's in his prime. Let him do his thing. Ronaldo and Neymar. I mean, they're arguably. I mean, they argue with Messi that they're goats. I mean, Ronaldo or Neymar, not so much. I think it's really Ronaldo and Messi, at least in this current era of players. But you got all these guys joining the Saudi soccer leagues when Messi's like, screw that. I'm going to play for the MLS and score a goal every game and just make a bag and really not even have to do anything. So I like Messi's way of doing things. So, and of course, it wouldn't be a Sports Scramble podcast without our NASCAR Neil update. He'll be on the show next week, so make sure you tune in for that one. We've got Michael McDowell gets the win at the Brickyard Road Course and kisses the bricks. And there's some milk in there too. I think one of the races has milk. I don't think it's the road.
I thought it was like the Indy 500 or something like that.
Yeah, I like a good glass of milk, so I watch it when I watch NASCAR. His second career win, with his other being the 21 Daytona 500, both being the most prestigious tracks in America. So Michael knows how to race. It was also announced earlier this week that his team, Front Row Motorsports, has picked up his option for next year. Well, look at them betting on their guy. No wrecks at a 1 on the green flag, despite the chaos we saw there last year. However, there was early contact by Joey Logano that sent Justin Haley sliding into the tire barrier, bringing out an early caution that ends up being the only caution of the race. So some clean racing. There's no rubbing there. This makes the first single caution race since 2012. McDowell wins stage 1 after fighting hard all stage. Denny Hamlin manages to stretch his full for the entire first 2 stages and gets the stage 2 win and the important playoff point. And then McDowell finally cycled back to the lead after Hamlin pitted. And Chase Elliott also had a strong day while being in a must-win situation, finishing second. He's been historically a solid RC driver and should be the fastest week at Watkins Glen, where he's won there multiple times, and he was very close to winning last year. Playoffs battle is taken up a notch, with McDowell leaving 3 spots open. However, the gap between 15 and 16 being 115 points, Brad Kay at 15 and at plus 143 points, and Bubba Wallace at 16th at plus 28. Daniel Suarez is minus 28, but finished third today, so he may have a shot to win next week. Ty Gibbs is 18th and is only negative 48. If no new winner this week, if both Badke and Harvick maintain their 60-point lead, on the 15th, they'll both lock in heading into the last race of the regular season. If not, we could see something like last year between Blaney and Truex Jr. This race was also full of drivers from around the world, with SVG, the winner of Chicago, finishing 9th. His fellow Australian supercar driver, Brody Kostecki, that's the name, finishing 22nd. Jensen Burton and Mike Rockefeller, who drove for NASCAR at the Le Mans, finished 24th and 28th, respectively. And lastly, Kumai Kobayashi who has raced everything from F1 to endurance to dirt bikes, finished 33rd. And he said he does look forward to joining in live next week. So we'll have him here at the end of the show for his NASCAR News segment.
When are we going to see Saudi Arabian NASCAR?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I think NASCAR is still American.
Oil's cheap over there. There's no environmental regulations.
I think
dirt road races.
Majority NASCAR fans and majority NASCAR drivers are cold-hearted, red, white, and blue Americans.
It could be a rival series.
Middle Eastern country. I definitely don't think that's happening.
It could be the America Cup versus the Saudi Cup every year.
There you go. I got the Ryder Cup coming up in a couple of weeks, so we'll talk about that. It's heating up with Lucas Glover won the playoff event. Kind of changes things. So real quick, does John Rahm win the PGA championship this year, or the PGA championship, but the FedEx Cup? Tyler? Nope. Wade?
Yeah, I'm going with consistency.
You haven't watched golf in the past month, apparently, because he's finished pretty bad.
Yeah, that's why that was an easy nope.
No,
Man's in a slump.
No, I think Scotty pulls it off. I mean, John Rahm still has number 1 points, so he's still going to be at first to start off the championship. So he could do it. He's just been in a little bit of slump.
He hits a slump buster and wins. It makes me look like a genius.
There you go. Well, guys, it's been a blast. Any other sports news before we send it off into the strategy?
John Rahm is the Tampa Bay Rays. Got off to a good start and is limping to the finish line.
Well, you got to watch about the other Tampa Bay players too, what they're limping on. With that, we'll end it. We won't go into too much detail on that one. Y'all have a good week.